September board minutes. Those just, for some reason, didn't get added or didn't get attached correctly. So just adding in those minutes for approval in the consent under agenda.
So we have the item in the agenda, this just
under the
was not
past meeting,
uploaded.
correct.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so,
it just didn't get
so
attached correctly.
you're offering, or asking for a motion to accept the paperwork for the agenda item?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there any discussion on that? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to amend the agenda to accept the paperwork for the prior board meetings minutes.
All motion to accept it.
All right, been
Second.
properly motioned. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the agenda is approved as amended. All right, next we'll go to open forum. Residents, students, parents, and guardians and staff members of the district may address the board about relevant topics. Those who wish to speak must sign up at the beginning of the meeting. Speakers' participation is limited to 5 minutes per meeting. We ask that speakers to remember that Iowa law prohibits the board from discussing specific employee, students, or their performance. And tonight, we had one person sign up. It's Amanda Watts.
Hi, I'll just be quick. I know that later on in the agenda, you guys are going to review the social emotional learning curriculum, and I know that the recommendation committee suggested that you take no action, but they were only given a week to review a massive amount of information for many grade levels, and admitted, I mean, if you ask any of the board members or the committee members, none of them were able to review all grade levels or all lessons. It would take much more time than a week. So I just wanted to address that to you guys since you are going to be looking at that later. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next we have the student representative report. Mr. Holster.
Pretty short and sweet to the point.
All right.
So the marching band went to Waukee. This is kind of exciting for state marching band festival, and they received a Division I rating. The last time they received a Division I rating was 1996. So congratulations to them. Homecoming went pretty good. The game went good too, 42-6. A lot of people had a good time at the dance, and just kind of to celebrate Halloween, the student council is having everybody like decorate doors and stuff, and just to kind of bring some excitement. And the winner will get some festive cookies. And then the FFA, the alumni held a pancake breakfast. I think they had a pretty good turnout. This money's used for SAE projects, trip expenses, and funding for jackets and stuff like that. And then just this past week we went to the national convention in Indianapolis. That went pretty good. It was about three days long. We went to visit a lock-in dam at Dubuque. That was pretty cool, seeing like how they regulated boat travel and stuff like that. And they control the water levels with the dam too. And then at the convention, we listened to a powerful speaker. Her name was Temple Grandin. She talked about like how people learn in different ways, like visual thinkers and stuff like that. And she said like it's important to include all thinkers because everybody thinks differently, and then work together to make one big thing. And then Miss Bedwell received her medical degree at the convention too, so congratulations to her for that. And then lastly, we got to see like tour the Speedway. That was pretty cool. Learn all the history on it and stuff. It's kind of cool. I used 3.2 million bricks to build the racetrack. It's 2.5 miles long.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And then some upcoming like career events that students can go to. Mid-American is having a career event Friday, November 1st. They will be learning how to fix gas and electric lines and stuff like that. engineering, accounting, we kind of got it all. And then there's a health career day at the Mary Greenlee Medical Center, and that's also November 1st too. And then there's a Discover Healthcare Day, and that's at Polk County, November 12th. And then for sports, football and cross country and volleyball kind of came to an end. And then winter sports are going to be starting here soon. I know wrestling's going to be starting here soon, and basketball's having a meeting coming up. So, any questions?
Did you actually get to watch the lock and dam get used?
Yeah, actually, we got to see like the bridge turn.
Mhm.
It's pretty cool because it's there's no electric motors or nothing. It's all wind powered. Is how it
Mhm.
turns. They just have like a little handbrake, and once they get it positioned right, they'll put on the brake, and then if they got to turn it, release the brake. It's pretty sweet.
So it's actually just the bridge turns, it's not one of the lock and dams that the floods and then they open up the lower doors and then flood it back in?
Yeah, they do that too. I
Oh,
believe, so.
I've been in those ones.
Oh, yeah.
The career days sound exciting. I think that the thing I like the most about it sounded like there were like 3 or 4 of them going on, and probably more going.
Yeah, oh, yeah,
Are you hearing
there's-
a lot of buzz from the students and stuff, especially those interested
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
trades?
There's a lot. I know there was a trip with Mr. Boyce about a week ago, I believe, and they went around and saw different trades. It was up in Des Moines, I believe, and he brought quite a few students to that. So
That's awesome.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Thanks, Ross.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, Ross.
All right. Next, we have the Roadrunner Celebrate Success. And not quite sure who's presenting that this time around, but I think we talked about this before. Feel free to bring up a chair, sit down with us. You don't have to stand. We're trying to make this a comfortable, engaging environment. Not
I think that's me. I'm Heather. I'm the Work-Based Learning Coordinator here at Interstate 35, along with at Murray, Winterset, and Clark. So I am at each school 1 day a week, although I'm here at Interstate 35 because it's kind of like my home school 2 days a week usually. So the thing about work-based learning that's a little different, the state of Iowa is making some changes. So it's actually statewide, or like the umbrella term now is called career connected learning. And so some of the things that you heard Ross kind of talking about are, there's 2 pieces within the career connected learning. So one piece is career exploration, like learning about work. And those things are like job shadows, going and visiting businesses, mock interviews, those kind of things. And then the other piece is like working to learn. And that's more of what I do with internships, where it's a sustained partnership with a business. I still can help with some of the career fairs and those kind of things, but really Mrs. Steinmoggy does a lot of that work, along with, like Ross mentioned, our classroom teachers. So like Mr. Boyce, he knows which students are interested in which things, so he lines up a lot of those field trip type things. We have teachers who bring classroom speakers in. So those things that happen in the school or are more like a 1 day type thing, those things are things that our classroom teachers, Mrs. Steinmoggy, Miss May, a lot of them are kind of overseeing those kind of things. Whereas I'm more of the other side of the 2-part thing, which is more the like working to learn, where kids are going out into the workforce for a sustained amount of time and they're partnering with the business. Right now I have 72 kids on my roster, so 16 of them are from I-35, 11 from Murray, 9 from Winterset, and 36 from Clark. 50% of them are considered like internship, in the sense that they are at a job where they're going to most likely, or they think they're going to stay there right after high school, like it's a post-secondary pathway. So if they're interested in welding, they're working at somewhere like Herman Welding. If they're interested in electrical work, they're working at something like Dutry Electric. The other 50% are students who are more in like a work study program. So they're getting really fantastic work experience, but they're working at places like Fairway or Walmart or Smash Park. So they're getting really good work experience, but it doesn't necessarily tie to their post-secondary experiences. Just so you know, I wasn't sure what kind of information you wanted. We have 49 boys and 23 girls total. Here at Interstate 35, we actually have a higher percentage of our kids who are doing like the more internship than work study. We have 62% of our kids who are doing something that's more headed towards their pathway, which is what I kind of try to get kids towards. So like as the year progresses, if a kid's working like at a Walmart or Fairway, that's great. I want them to keep that job and keep making money, but maybe I can also connect them with a business partner that's something lined up with what they want to do. And then at I-35, we have 3 girls and 13 boys. So we have a lot of boys who are connecting with me and doing work-based learning, but not as many girls. So some of the places that I've reached out to beyond just what students have asked, so like the Murray City Administration, Derek Kelso with Alltech. We went to Shenandoah and visited. They have a really great CTE and work-based learning program. AmeriCorps is really helpful with this type of work. But some of the things I really wanted to share with you is what our students are saying. So every month, my kids fill out like a reflection form about their work. And so just kind of some of the things that they are hoping to achieve, but then also some of their challenges. It's very interesting to kind of look through what they're experiencing at work. So some of the things that they have noticed, so some of the challenges that the kids have written about in their reflections. One main challenge in this job is the cleaning aspects. We have to keep everything clean in order to keep the children's health safe. So this student works at a daycare. Some days I'm tired and exhausted from cleaning, but I remind myself I'm doing this all so that the little kids don't get sick or hurt. Another one that I wanted to share, this student works on a cattle farm. All kinds of challenges from treating pink eye to calves that won't nurse kind of have to face a challenge every day, but you learn to overcome them by using your head. Another one that works in customer service, the challenges I've encountered so far is keeping calm when rude customers argue that they got the wrong order. I feel like I've gotten better at that. I just try to relax myself and let it out. Another one is, this person works at a bank as a teller. I had a very large learning curve at first. I overcame this by putting in extra hours over the summer. Okay, this person works at like a car place, and they really want to get to the point where they're like helping paint cars, but right now they're just cleaning cars, right? So like they have to work their way up like anyone else in the professional world. So a challenge that I've had during my experience is keeping the finished cars clean. The cars will look great when I'm done, but then I will get a lot of dust on them at the front of the shop. This is due to a grain bin that is right down the road from the shop and is upwind from the shop. A way I have overcome this is to get a car very clean, and then once it is pulled to where it needs to be, I put plastic over it like we would when we're painting. This keeps the dust off of it and solves my problem. Okay. And then some of the things that they have hoped to achieve, some of them of course just want to make money, right? But then a lot of them also, one person wrote, I want to achieve a good work ethic, determination, and perseverance. I want to be able to manage my time and run a team efficiently. I want to leave school with good grades and do the job well. Every day learn a lot at work and at school. I hope to grow my knowledge on how businesses are conducted as well as grow my work experience. I hope to become better at talking to customers. I hope to get good enough at roofing to start my own business. I hope to better my organizational skills and problem solving. I hope to learn the best way to run my own cattle operation. I hope to get better at welding. So although they're pretty short and to the point, I do think they know kind of, right, what they're hoping to get out of these experiences, but they also are running into challenges. I think a lot of high school kids don't always necessarily have part-time jobs anymore. And so giving them this experience has been really great for them to learn on the job. Many of them are paid internships, and so they're also making money while they learn. Is there any specific questions you have? Is there specific things you want me to share now or bring back another time, or?
I have a question.
Okay.
Are there any jobs that you have students asking about but you can't fill? Like,
So, right, I haven't so far. There was a student at Clark who is interested in like becoming a lawyer, but it took time, but we were able to get the Clark County attorney to, like with confidentiality and stuff, it was a really tricky one, but she is letting her come and intern. She's not getting paid. Sometimes that's kind of the sticky part, is some people don't have the funding to pay. And so if the kid really wants that experience though, a lot of times they're willing to get the experience without a pay. I usually tell businesses, if kids are adding something to your business, you really need to be paying them, right? If they're just coming and learning from you though, it's okay to not pay them. Like this girl probably isn't adding something to that business. But if they're coming and they're welding for you, you need to pay them. So that's kind of where the paid and unpaid comes from. But so far I can't think of one that I haven't been able to connect with somebody.
another question.
But I also have, like, there were a couple kids who were looking for a job shadow, and like I didn't know a pilot, so I reached out to Mrs. Steinloggy, and she's like, well, Olivia Cox's dad is a pilot, and so like there's usually somebody who knows somebody if I don't.
Yeah, yeah. And if parents want to see like a report at the end of what their student has learned, what worked well, what didn't work well, they can ask you for that. Is that something that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And so our students, they are required to do 75 hours per credit per semester in order to be part of work-based learning. And then they also turn in a monthly reflection to me, and I ask specific questions. So like on the one that I kind of shared with you, it was, what are your main responsibilities? What are some challenges you've came across? And what are things you want to achieve? And so then the next month it'll be different types of questions, but just reflection, kind of getting them thinking. And then I also have their employer evaluate them. And the evaluation I use is mainly employability skills standards from like the Iowa Corps. And then that's how they kind of evaluate them. I also, at the end of the semester, my hope is really that the kids all create a resume. It's just to be honest with you, it's a lot of students to like logistically make sure they get all the things done. And for some students, it's really important that they have a resume at the end, right? But for some students, they might not necessarily need a resume for what they're doing next. So it kind of just depends on the kid.
Okay.
So do you go see them at their job? Like, what are you doing between like
Yeah.
the end of the month reflection and
Yep.
once they're set up?
Yep, so they, actually, I just sent out kind of like their first evaluations and I'm getting them back. And as they're sending them back, then I reply, thanks for the information. Is there a time that I could come and visit with you and see them on the job? So yes, I would really like to see 100% of the kids on the job site. Some employers are more open to that than others, but I really do push to see everybody on site, yes.
I just want to say thank you. This program is amazing. I think for those kids that, you know, college may not be their route, it is just, I think, the perfect program to get them engaged, you know, early. And I soon get them to be able to try different things, right?
Yeah.
And that might be one of my questions, but we run long on time. But, you know, it is so critical, it's so valuable, sorry. And I know that this is what, a year, maybe 2 years old program, so it's just getting off the ground. And you know, some of this stuff highlighting You know, we show pictures of kids, you know, in band and football and other things like that. So, you know, on the Facebook page and others, and on our main page, whatever we can, kind of highlight in this program so more people know it's out there. What grades does it start in?
Really mostly juniors and seniors
Juniors,
because they
seniors.
need to drive, and
Yeah.
a lot of businesses, there are some things because it's through the school where they can do some things with age, but a lot of the child labor laws, you know.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think it'd be, that's something we just need to bring more awareness to. It's
And
a
maybe
young and
that's
growing
something I
program.
can help with when I am doing site visits, taking pictures of kids working and sharing them to help get that out and about too. So,
Perfect. Oh, thank you.
yeah.
You said that within here, we've got 13 guys, 13 boys and 3 girls.
Mhm.
And that, with the overall numbers, it seemed more, I believe you said there were more guys.
In the,
Right. Well, we're-
with all the
overall,
districts that
yes.
cover, yeah, yep,
Right.
yep.
So do you see those boys more going towards the ones that are interested in the trades? And, okay.
Yeah, and we have had other students, like I mentioned, the student at Clark who's working with the attorney. And last year, we did have a student here at I-35 who worked with the Tri-Corner Express, and it was a female student. So we have had students who are going to college but aren't 100% sure it's what they want to do, or maybe they are sure, but they still just want to get experience in it. So my son is in the work-based learning program, and he's going to be an electrician. So he's going to college, but he's going to a technical school. But he's able to start, because he is 18, he's able to start getting his hours. So as an electrician, you have to have thousands of hours before you can even test to get your license. So he's able to start counting his hours right now, and kind of really get ahead of some other students who don't have this opportunity to start counting those hours. Yeah. And Carl McMichael is another student, and he's actually a junior who's working with Travis Brandt, who's another local electrician. And so he's also a junior who's, I think he wasn't 100% sure about the electrician route, but he's working with one right now. He's not 18, so it's not necessarily counting towards his hours, but he's getting a really great experience to figure out if that's what he wants to continue doing or not.
How good are the welders you have?
Yeah.
The student welders? They're
Some of them
amazing.
probably pretty good.
Yeah, we have one working with Herman Welding, and then we have another welder working with Eric Brandt. Is Logan Heberlin working with him? Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So,
Are you wanting to?
I need welders all the time.
Right, so you wanting to?
and see, this is also a really
But they
great
can't be
program to
afraid of
help
heights
keep
for me.
our community and our kids here too, right?
Yeah.
Like, they don't have to leave.
Yeah.
A lot of our kids do want to stay here. It's a good place to be.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for all the
Thank
work
you
you're
very
putting
much.
into it. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Do you even have questions for George? I told him I'd probably talk so long he wouldn't have to answer any questions, but.
All right. Next, we'll move on to the principal's reports. You all should have had access to that on page and spent some time reading it. Anybody have any comments or anything?
I will say I added a section on mine with content about 4th grade. And if you scroll down, I put it in blue text,
Okay,
so they can verify.
thank you.
I have a question. Beep Beep Network,
Yeah.
is that on the website?
Well, it is, I'm not quite sure if it's there yet, but
Okay.
we had a deadline to put it on there a little while ago, and I know that they're kind of bogged down, so I'm curious to see if it is. I'll go look. But the plan is, Mrs. Wilson developed a Google Doc that is view only. It houses the links to each episode by date, and that document will be linked on our elementary website page. And we're not going to make a big deal of it, just from the stance of we do have some kiddos on there with some restrictions for social media, etc. But their parents were comfortable with us posting it in that way. So it should be there. If it's not yet, I will put in a reminder to get that on there. But that's the plan for that. And also, I'm not supposed to share publicly yet, but I will say this. I applied for, I think Omnitel is like in a community group grant. I can't think of the name right now. But they are making releases on October 30th. So we wrote directly for the BB network, so waiting to share about that a little bit, so they'll get a big boost of resources.
Awesome. Cora was telling me she was videotaped, and I'm like, what? For what? Where is that?
Yeah.
So that's why, and I
Yeah.
looked, but I couldn't find it.
I'm
so I
not
was
sure
just-
that it's there, but I will work on getting it there.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yep.
I just want to say thank you again I was reading on the parental advisory committee and those Kanban, is it Kanban, am I saying they're Kanbana? The reports that you're producing for each grade. Canva, thank you. I am going to say it. Yeah. No, I'm sure I'm going from memory here. Anyways, those are phenomenal. There are a lot to consume. I was trying to go through each, and I couldn't get through each, grade on each of those. But I think, man, my throat's dry today. I was thinking that is exactly the communication, down to each level that's specific to that parent and their kid. So I just want to thank you and the team for the incredible amount of work that you're putting into that. And it's not like it's a one-time thing. It's a process that you put in place to continuously go through those. So. And the other thing is, I saw Grandparents' Day is on November 26th. Wanted to get that out there. I know that's a big hit every year. Unfortunately, couldn't do food this year because it gets so big.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks for the work on that.
Thank you. And Melissa, it is there.
It is?
The elementary page, and then if you go about on the side over here, it says Beep Beep Network.
At the very bottom right-hand side?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And if you click
Was
on
it there
that-
yesterday?
Probably not.
That's when I looked. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thanks, Ms. Woods.
Yep.
Anything on Mr. Beckles? I did want to highlight 43% reduction in tardies. That's huge. Well done. And that's like that's not by accident. I think that's the work you're putting in. Would you credit that largely to the program being able to kind of track the kids and change behaviors?
It definitely helps. It helps to have more direct conversation, have some data behind the conversation, especially when kids are using the bathroom multiple times a day or something like that.
Yeah.
But the teachers are doing a great job of holding students accountable to it also. And the hallway traffic has just gotten way better from my first day here to where it is now. So it's definitely a team effort with teachers and office.
Thank you. And I also, I can't remember what the context was, but in here you were talking about, you were teaching lessons to the kids about timeliness and respect for others as it plays into that as well. So, yeah, just thank you for baking that in because it's part of making good citizens. That's in our mission statement. So, thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you.
All right. We don't have Deputy Hollerud here. I think that was a great report. Do you know how often he's going to be producing that? Is that like a quarterly thing, or is he going to
Talk
start
about
doing it
quarterly. If you want more than that, then we'll.
I think quarterly's fine. I think the only thing, those were some amazing statistics in there. I don't think anything too alarming, but I did notice there was nothing. It had tobacco use infractions, but nothing on the vape side. I don't know if those are combined or what, but I know we've had a little bit of challenges, so I don't know if we can ask him that question and get back to the board. Does the vape combine with the tobacco, or is the vape statistics something that was just omitted? So,
Then what causes?
I would tell you that the tobacco is vapes.
okay, so they're
We
combined.
we haven't seen a whole, I mean, I've found a couple like the pouches, the Zyn pouches and stuff like that around the building. But most of our tobacco busts have been vape.
Okay,
So that's just how we classify those, so it's all vape.
all vape. Okay.
What does the situation have to be that leads Chad to be involved? Because I really feel like those numbers are low for the number of vapes that have been recovered and only one was cited. It was what, 7? found in one, out of those seven, only one cited?
Sorry to keep chiming in.
No, if you know the details.
There's been a little bit of shift, I would say, in conversations with our community liaison, Rose. There's a program that students can get into that's called it's like a chance for change or whatnot. It's like a diversion program. So in lieu of getting a ticket, they can go through this program and do like community service or whatnot, a class on how the vaping affects them biologically. Just in the past, we would try to avoid the legal route with a kiddo, especially like on the first go around. That's kind of a little bit of a deviation from like common practice here. So we're kind of getting back on a common practice and offering this like diversion program for those who get.
Is that every time they're caught with one, then they go straight to Rose for that diversion
First
program?
time they're caught, they get that chance. Second time, they don't get that chance. Second time, it's the ticket.
And is that in your, I think you brought an escalation matrix to us a couple board meetings ago, and that's detailed in that?
Yep.
Okay.
It says referral to SRO. The actual program itself isn't detailed out. It is an option. Kids can opt out of it, like if they want to just pay the ticket instead of spend a few hours on this virtual class. They can do that. They can just pay the ticket. But like everything else, the tickets escalate and the consequence escalates with repeated offenses, so to say.
So then his number for the tobacco and stuff, then that's not reflective of the number of kids you guys have caught that have been referred to Rose?
Correct. So that's not necessarily every student we've caught.
Okay, so that number's just the ones that got cited?
No, one was cited.
Oh, one
So the
was cited.
7 that were found, were they just talked to then by him?
I don't know, also I wouldn't.
I guess, yeah, I'm just
Okay.
curious on that, if he's getting only the ones that should be cited.
Maybe just,
Yeah.
going forward, just get those
Thank
numbers
you.
aligned, with Chad and Mr. Bethel, so, okay.
I do want to go back to Danielle's. Thank you for that information on the second step curriculum.
Real quick on that, with aligning those, if we were gonna do that, wouldn't we just have, because the way we have the handbook wrote, he would have his own, there's principal report quarterly, and Chad would have his own, like, because they're two separate numbers.
Well, I just
The way we
want
have the handbook
numbers to
wrote.
be aligned, so you can define them differently, I
Yeah.
suppose. The numbers
Yeah.
don't have to align, just making sure that they're
I was just
equally
trying to
defined.
clarify.
Yeah, that's fair. Making sure that there's, I guess, a definition of, a total number that, Chad dealt with, number that.
So you want a total I-35 number?
Yeah.
And then what actually got referred to?
Or, yeah,
Honestly, the sad part is those aren't all secondary students. So.
yeah. Okay.
Clarify with him.
All right. Next, we have Ms. Cooper on the student achievement. I think these are the ISAS results. Did you all get a chance to reread that? That was a ton of data. I don't know if you're going to walk us through it.
It's a lot of data. Do you want me to talk through it or answer questions or?
I read through it. I don't know, do you guys want her to walk through it, or do you have some questions?
It says fall, like we haven't, have you guys?
No, it's just a fall review from our spring
So this
test.
is stuff we've already seen.
No, it's not.
They brought some of this at the end last year.
Okay, so yeah, you saw this, but, okay, so last year, so I'm Natasha Cooper and I'm the curriculum director, for those of you that don't know me. But so last fall, around this time, the state came out with a new platform that was called EVIS. And EVIS takes students where they were performing, and it shows where, it puts them in a category of where they're growing and where they performed over 3 years' time. Obviously, 4th grade, it showed 3rd to 4th. So you'll see that obviously 3rd grade in some of those slides is not there because they haven't had a chance to grow because 3rd grade is the basis. So the EVIS platform, and several of us in here have gone to trainings about this, puts them into the category to show where students are growing. Not just if they're proficient, but if they're growing. So it puts them over a 3-year time into low, mid, high, and then it takes them to if they are showing growth. So those big bar graphs, so the first couple slides is what you have seen. So you were right there. That's the general overall proficiency rating from ISASS, from our Pearson Access Next and the Iowa testing. But then as we get through with the expected growth, it takes those groups and grades of students and it puts them in, are they growing where they're expected to grow based on all the calculations. So you can kind of see, right here, the 2024 ELA, that shows just from the previous, over, if it's 3 years, if they've tested over 3 years, it's gonna take that into account. But that kind of goes to show the grade level as a whole. And then as you see in the bar graphs, it breaks it down between low, middle, and high. There's a lot of information here, and I tried to shrink it down as much as possible. So, obviously we want the groups of students to go over. We have a lot of groups that are obviously well above in their expected growth. We've seen a lot of progress in the last, I would say, 2 years, K through, or 4 through 12 in our ISASS testing. Now, we see a couple different things here with that grade, with 5th and 6th grade in math. And I would say we dug into last year, the year before's growth data, as soon as we got it out last January with the teachers, and we did some additional professional development. We will do the same here. The state has issued, as well as more of the most common missed questions and the writing rubrics, and we just got back from another training a couple weeks ago, but they give us more and more information so that we can better understand how and why the students are performing certain ways on the test. So there's a lot of analysis here. And then science is only given here 5th, 8th, and 10th. So you can see from 5th grade, 8th grade, and 10th grade, it looks like we're doing well there. And so this is kind of where I explained the low, middle, and high, how the system groups. So you can see now, if you look at the hot pink, the hot pink is 2023, and obviously that would have been the spring of 2023, and then 2024. Just note that later on, when it says apples to apples, it means the same group of students. These are the 4th graders in both of those years. The hot pink and the pink are different groups of students. All right, but they were both in, one was in 4th grade in 2023, one in 2024. They obviously, you want to be above the green line for expected growth. So there you can see 4th grade, that is, there's only one grade there because it's from 3rd to 4th. So what are some questions you have? Because I know, and then like this is where we kind of progress. So 4th grade in 2023 when they went to 5th grade, and then you're going to see 6th grade. And when we get up to 11th grade, we're going to have a lot more years of showing are those same groups of students continuing to grow across our system. I think this slide in particular, especially as you get through the levels, is the most important data, because we want all students to grow every day in their learning. And this, obviously it's one test and one point in time, but it is aligned to the Iowa core and what is being taught in the classroom.
So first off, thank you. Like I said, it was an incredible amount of data when I was going through it. It takes a little bit for your brain to turn and process the different grade, things. And I started with listing a whole bunch of questions I want to ask. And as I was getting down to it, it really didn't matter, I think, these questions when I was asked, well, why did this happen? Why did this happen? What's more important, I guess, for me is if you summarize the things that we did really, really well, and we summarize the things that we know we need to work on, what I was thinking I'd like to see maybe in future meetings, and I think Mr. Beckel did this last year, is he just kind of highlighted the things like, here's where we did well, this is where we improved, and here's what we attribute to that. And then here are the things we know we still need to work on it. And here's the things we're putting into place, in order to achieve those. So I think it's good to have this, definitely for us to review, but accompany it with that, okay, synthesize it for me, I guess.
And we do that, all the teachers do that in their PLCs and as a team. But maybe giving that more, putting that information to you. I mean, we look at.
We don't need to know detail per teacher, I don't think.
But they do drill down student by student, and the different skills based on the test, like key ideas and details, different parts of writing, measurement and for mathematics, geometry, those kind of things. I mean, they drill down on where kids did low, medium, high on the test itself.
How often do they actually fall in this expected growth? This is just a projection, isn't it?
No, it takes their score and puts it is a projection, but it's a whole statistical kind of formula that do they stay in those bands? I guess I don't know, but they review it on a regular basis to know of where they were the year before and in previous years if they grew in their band.
Pretty accurate, since
I
the
would say
state
it's
has purchased it.
I would say it's very accurate in my opinion, just from what they've shared. Yeah, the state has poured lots and lots of resources and things in this, and lots of presentations. Yeah. So different groups of students, and like the bar graphs.
Okay. Yeah, that was the hard part to wrap my head around.
I know,
Yeah.
yeah. So this was taken right out of the database and cut snippets in that information. I think your best ones are to look at the apples to apples as you go through, because it shows the same group of students. 8th grade, you can see where did they do 5, 6, 7, 8, and across the board. Now, as we get older or get up in the system, remember that in when 2020, we did not test the students because of the pandemic. So you'll notice in some of the groups as they get older, you'll see in that one right there, the 9th graders, in 2020, they didn't take the test.
Oh, gosh, on everything.
All right. Any other questions? Thank you, Ms. Cooper. Appreciate it.
Yeah, please ask me any questions. I know there's a lot of information there. I just wanted to make sure that you understood that. Please know that the teachers, the PLCs, administrators, we all work together. Then at the end of it, it talks about a plan. We put in where they do practice questions and think problem solving within their classrooms. They practice the dashboard of the test as well. All of that is very well organized and practiced by the teachers and the students. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next, we have superintendent report and the facilities update.
Garrett?
Yeah, start with construction. You're up. So, I guess a quick update on what's going on site. Driven back around, you can see press boxes, benches are installed, look like fencing fabric, pretty much got wrapped up today. So really taking shape out there. We're seeded, not any germination yet, except for on the tree you guys planted in water. There's grass popping up there, but everything else will go dormant and pop up here in the spring. So sitting pretty good with what's going on out there. Next push for us will be the concession stand. Get some door frames installed and we'll be able to paint. And once that paint goes up, there's not a lot of finishes in the space. We'll have some countertops, trim out devices and heaters and whatnot. So it'll come together pretty quickly once we get through paint. Hopefully that's in the next couple of weeks. So overall out there schedule, we're sitting really well with what we have left to do. I did share, and I don't know if you shared that change order summary, the change event summary.
Yeah, it's down in the action.
So, okay. So yeah, there are a handful of change orders that have been drafted and ready to be executed and signed. What I did provide you guys with was, I called it a change event summary. It's all the changes we're tracking. It's got pricing that we received, some we still haven't pricing's out for yet, but really what it does is kind of summarize where we're at with our contingency. So we started the project with $337,000 in contingency. Between the fields and concession stand along with the science lab, we spent $85,000, and that's including the change orders that are presented to you guys today for official approval. So overall, still sitting very well with contingency at this stage of the project. With the ones that are the outstanding change events that we're tracking, waiting on pricing for, we're expecting those to come in around a total of $30,000 or so. So we're still going to be around $220,000. So still with 2/3 of our contingency sitting at the end of this project. So we feel very, very comfortable with where we're at. So that was kind of the update I wanted to share with you guys. Do you have any specific questions on the change orders? I can take those now. I don't know if you need me to hang around for the
You got a basketball game for your kid, right?
practice.
Or
but-
practice, so if you have questions on the change orders, you might want to ask now, so that way he can get out of here.
I can certainly hang around if that's what's needed.
I asked what I needed.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, if anything comes up as you're reviewing them, let me know.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Easy enough.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Do you have anything else for your superintendent? Isn't it? Okay. Next, we'll move on to this and discuss and approve the consent items. So we have our past meeting minutes that we amended and added in. We have the monthly bills and financial statements, which you guys should have had access to online, and then April provided us the update since it was published. Resignations and contracts, read through that real quick. New hires, Hannah Bedwell, ag teacher, second semester, when the official license is issued. Caitlin Sims, associate. Caitlin Grant, girls wrestling cheer coach. Jesse Baldwin, assistant middle school basketball coach. And then we have a host of contract modifications for BAT, 6 secondary and 9 elementary. I'm going to read through each of those. And then resignations, we had Jesse Baldwin resigns as the assistant middle school girls track coach. And then we have early graduation requests from 2 students. They have applied for early graduation. The recommendation is to approve those 2 students for early graduation. So with that, is there any discussion on the consent items? Go ahead.
On the modifications for the BAT, is that just adding it to, or are we lowering it? What was that? Just
There's
not
no
included?
change in the stipend for it. It just
Okay.
never, those people just never got approved for those positions.
Got it.
And so we're just bringing it to the board for approval.
Good, thank you.
Or from what we could find, they've never been approved.
Okay,
So
perfect.
better be safe than sorry. So.
Agreed.
I was just gonna make a comment, one, to thank April again. I don't know if you guys seen the new reports that she's putting out for the statement. Those are awesome, and also frustrating for me in the same boat, because now I'm able to see like the different verticals of money and how much is in, how much went out with each of those buckets, whether there are 8 of them or something. For me though, I don't understand like what funds those, or in some cases what's completely, coming out of those. So I'm gonna take some time to go in and spend some time with April, so I can learn a little bit more about that, and I encourage each of you to do the same, because I think that affects our thinking very much when we're trying to figure out, okay, we got to do an air conditioning, or we got to approve, funds for something else. Knowing that there's like 8 different buckets that could come out of. Some buckets have more money than others. I think will help me immensely. But I just want to say thank you for doing that, reformatting in that way. It definitely helps, but also has more questions, but good questions. So I want to learn some more. So Thank you for that. All right, is there any other discussion on the consent items? If not, I'll entertain a motion for the consent items.
I would motion to approve the consent items.
Been properly motioned to approve the consent items. Do I have a second?
I will second it.
She can have it.
Give that one to Melissa. Okay. It's been properly seconded. All those in favor signified by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Next, we have the action agenda. We're going through these individual one by one. Each one will require a motion second. So first, we have the special education deficit allowable growth request. Did you want to give a quick spiel on that, one of the two of you real quick?
Yep. So this is where we look at the cost for our spec ed services, and Brett was overspent by what was allowed, was the 518,000. Last year it was 452,000, so we were up 65,000, and that, when you think about it, it's the higher needs for students that we're just serving them. And this does, gives us the spending authority. And then next year when we do our budget, then that'll be when we actually get the money, is we'll cash reserve for that. And that'll be specifically on its own line, and we'll talk about that at that point too. But this at least gives us that spending authority that we've already spent. This gives us that option to have that authority.
Yeah.
It's the way school finance works.
Okay. All right, is there any discussion on the special education deficit allowable growth request?
Why the sizable increase? Do we have more kids?
I didn't look at the numbers to see what the number of spec students are, but the needs just
We dropped
keep
off
going.
a handful from last year to this year, so from being overstaffed, looking at the numbers, we may have dropped a few in total number, but we dropped a lot of L1 kiddos and added a lot of L2 and L3 kiddos that are in our district already. And we do not receive the funding equal to those services from the state, and so we have to come up with a shortfall.
What is this covered? Just the special ed program in general?
Yeah.
This is just, yeah.
And there's a deficit every year.
Mhm.
Yeah.
In every
Yeah.
district.
Every
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not every
No,
district.
there are.
Let's hear this story.
No district that I've been in.
Oh, well, that's good. We're looking forward now.
All right, is there further discussion? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the special ed deficit allowable growth request.
Been properly motioned, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Been properly moved and seconded, all those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, next we have our early retirement plan for the 2024-2025 certified employees. Ms. Green, I don't know if you want to briefly talk about what the recommendation is here, as far as years of service and all that stuff.
So April's dug into it and done the work for it, so I think you had mentioned that it's, in the past, it's kind of happened over several meetings, so let's see if we can try to answer some of those questions now and see if we need to table it or if we want to come back to it in November, or if we can answer those questions and do that now, so.
Go ahead, if you were going to give.
Well, the information that we provided then is that, so currently, we've got 4 teachers that meet the guidelines that we've got set up. That is that they've got to be at least 55 years of age and work here for 15 years. And this is just your licensed staff, so just your teachers. So we've got 4 that potentially could retire at the end of this year, be eligible for this program. And that would then affect your FY26, because it doesn't get paid out until July. So the cost of that goes into the next year. So we are able to budget for this when we start our budget process, which is already starting, but looking at the next school year. And then, so at the end of school year 26, there's no additional anyone. So if those 4 teachers don't retire, they'd be eligible then at 26. At 27, there's 2 additional, and then at the end of school year 28, there's 1 additional. So that kind of gave you the projection out to see what the future could look like. I know last year it was a $50,000 that was given to the retiree, and it all goes into an HRA for them. And then the year before, it was $30,000 for 3 teachers. There was only 1 that retired at the end of FY '24 that then impacted our budget for this year. These funds all come out of the management fund, which is 100% property tax levied dollars. So I know you're asking for a recommendation, but I just kind of gave that 50,000, 40,000, 25,000, what that looks like. Because with the management fund, everything, it's 100% levied dollars, and approximately 100,000 is about a quarter for that property tax.
Yeah. So I think some of the discussion that went around the multiple meetings in the past was that we actually fiddled sometimes with those numbers. So your 2023, I'm going to make this up because I don't know what it is, but give you an example. It might have been you had to have 17 years of service and be 56 years old or something, right?
Okay.
And I'm not saying you have to do that. I'm just giving you awareness. That's what the the conversations happened.
Do you know what it was last year? Was it 55 and?
Yeah.
It was 55 and 15.
15,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So, and I'm not saying that's good or bad, I'm just advising that's what, and it was really around, I think, Dr. Dentlinger was looking at the plans for the next school year and trying to manage, the funding from the other bucket of money. So she would come with a recommendation based off that stuff. So I'm not saying we have to do that, just awareness. That's what happened last year. That number wasn't fixed. The 15 years and 55? To my knowledge, that wasn't fixed. It was,
Yeah, it's something that we.
every
we-
year is part
Yeah,
of this.
because, yeah, I
Typically
know.
this time of the month, and
Yeah.
then usually in December, before December,
Yeah.
because we have to have it.
And I've
sooner.
got a lot of that data here, so if you kind of throw that around, I can tell you.
Can you
Yeah.
tell us what it's been the last couple of years? Because I know a couple of years ago we changed it a little bit.
So I know last year's was the 15, that they've been here at least 15 years, and age 55. I did not look to see the
Okay,
previous year,
okay.
if it had changed much, but I kind of think it was the same, and
I think
'Cause
the
it kind
ages
of-
were the same, the amount was different
I
last
kind
year.
of
I
think,
can't remember.
I kind of
Yeah,
think
the
that
amount
3
was
years
over
ago
50 grand,
we
like
changed
5
it,
people, not
and then,
in one team.
I think it was 20 years or something. I
Yeah.
remember it was changed, and then
Mhm.
I think you changed it back.
yeah.
I can tell
But,
you
I
if you
mean-
decided to change to 20 years of service, all 4 of these would still be.
Still, yes, yeah.
Okay.
See, that's what I was kind of
Yeah.
thinking, because,
Yeah.
because I,
Okay.
And it's the early retirement incentive, it's not something that has to be offered every single year. It's completely a board decision. Like I said, it's that management fund that is 100% property tax dollars, so.
could you tell me, are these teachers secondary or elementary?
3 elementary, 1 secondary.
Okay.
Is there any other discussion? And I think the options are on the table, motion to approve, motion to table to get more information, but I would suggest you would, make sure we can't get the information tonight. So,
Or if you just
can,
want to ponder it longer, you
Yeah.
can table
Yeah,
it. Just
I
if you
think-
want more,
Yeah.
just let me know.
Yeah.
I would, go ahead. Were you gonna say something?
Well, Chad, what would be your recommendation? What have you seen prior? I mean, coming in, does this seem pretty standard? Do we,
So we didn't offer any early retirement,
Mhm.
so this would be my first experience with offering it.
okay.
So
Some districts might bring it out every 3 years, every 5 years. So I can argue both sides of it because it's rewarding the longevity. It's a way to reward, otherwise we don't have that.
And as I was told, it's also a way for you to be able to manage your other bucket of money next year on the salary, caps that allows you to bring in, somebody else potentially as a backfill that isn't being paid as much necessarily as these, to allow your other bucket of money to go farther.
And that was more standard in years past, is that if a seasoned teacher were to leave, then more than likely we're gonna fill that with a brand-new teacher. There are more teachers now that are moving
So that may not be the
around.
case, okay.
And, I mean, pay has equaled out. There's, by law, depending on how many years you've taught, that change has been made. More teachers are getting additional education and maybe going across those educational lanes before they're coming to teach. So
Yeah.
like it's not a guarantee, and when we're looking at hiring, we're not obviously looking at who can we pay less. We're looking for who's the most
The best.
qualified for those positions.
Okay.
Last year, we also offered it to support staff.
Not the same thing.
Not the same.
I
way.
know,
Not the
I know,
same.
but if we were to table, because,
I did
Would you-
not see that because
Yeah. Okay.
apparently no one took that.
yes, would you be,
But I could look. that
okay,
up.
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah.
Yeah, it was 2 different, I remember that.
Yeah,
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 but we
it's
did.
2 different things, but I just want to get that on the table so we can look at doing that.
So are someone gonna make a motion that we're gonna kind
Further
of table it
I
for
think
now?
we
'Cause I
should
have a
table
couple
it,
of
yeah.
questions about
Okay.
the actual verbiage in the contract, or
Okay.
that is here, that I'd like, I can ask later, like I can
Yes,
send an
you
email.
can follow up with that. Okay. Do I have a motion?
I have motion to table it till next month.
Okay, then, motion to table it till next month. Is there a second?
I will second.
Been properly motioned and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. All right. Next up on the agenda, we have, sorry, one second, lost my digital thing. We have the approval of the reconsideration committee, the approval of the recommendation of the reconsideration committee to take no removal action in the second set curriculum used for K-8 social emotional learning. Is there a discussion?
I'll just say that Danielle's report had information regarding questions being asked and everything, and I thought it was very good information, and I agree with the no removal action.
I think for me, I read a lot on this, looked everything from, board policy to Senate File 496, which was recently passed, to the company itself and portions of the curriculum itself. And for me, I had a couple observations. I think, one, if you look at the board policy, the reconsideration committee is one aspect of our, decision, right? If it was just the reconsideration committee, the committee would make the decision and it would be done. There's a reason why it comes up to the board, and, from my perspective, our job is to look at this, holistically, and that is one input. The original, file that triggered the reconsideration committees and input, everything from the strategies and directives of our district, everything from digital content that we may be using going forward, encouraging our teachers to get their content and fulfill it. These are all kinds of things that we have to consider when making this decision, regardless of which way the committee would have recommended. The other aspect too I have to consider is, for me, we can't just right in the middle of the school year completely rip out content, and I struggled with that as well. But for me, what it came down to is when I look at Senate File 496 and really its directive was to ensure certain content was not to be presented in K through 8th grade. And I go look at the profile of this company. The company itself is really centered around that content as their core values. And I struggle. Now, that doesn't mean that the curriculum we're using today, mirrors everything. But I think the challenge we have with that is there are teachers' aides, there's other things that teachers can pull down over time to help teach that curriculum. And for me, I would feel a lot more comfortable if we had other options that teachers could go to and pull from company that more mirrored the direction of Senate File 496, which really was about keeping that content out of the classroom. There are, through my research, other companies out there. In fact, we've got two kind of here. We just approved one for Mr. Bethel. I know that was more high school. And then Sanford Harmony is another one that a lot of school districts are moving to as well. And I think at the end of the day, you know, the policy 602.2, curriculum of the district must be approved by the board, but curriculum never makes its way back to us to approve. This is the first time, right? So stuff may be here forever, which I think Ms. Woods had that in there, but it didn't come back. So, you know, for me, what I would encourage, you know, my peers to make a motion on is that we accept the recommendation of the committee for this school year. However, we direct the administration to come back for the next school year with an alternative other than second step for social and emotional learning that more aligns with Senate File 496 and the directives there. So that's my request to my peers.
So look at more options and just see.
Yes.
Doesn't mean you're going one way or the other, but it's just, let's see what else is out there available, kind of.
And for
directive.
this year, we're gonna use what we have because
Stay
we
with what we
can't
have.
get
Yeah.
in the middle of the year.
And I think one thing that I noticed in doing a little bit of my research, I think we've had this curriculum for 2 years prior to 2021. And I think that was maybe put in place with some other counselors, other administrators. And I don't know that there's a specific date, but I was looking on our website, and we actually have a letter from the prior superintendent that references that information. So I think what was important to me, the other thing that I found out was we don't have a timeline, you know, is it every 4 years we look at the curriculum, is it 5 years, is it 6 years? And some schools do have that listed as a policy. I think that's important too, just to have it listed as a policy, and then, you know, we're gonna adhere by it. So I think that would be something that I would like to recommend, would be just looking at our curriculum policy and adding it, okay, are we gonna review it 4, 5, 6 years and what that looks like? Because content does change. Updated curriculum is out there, so that's important to me. Just the fact that I don't know how often it's been done, and if it's not in a policy, then we're not looking at it actively. So I think that's important too. So that would be part of my recommendation as well.
We're working on that right now.
Oh,
There was-
Natasha.
Yeah, yeah.
You gotta
You
wait.
can't.
Oh, I
Yeah.
You
can't.
can't talk unless you're addressed.
Oh, sorry.
So,
Yeah, go ahead. That was it.
no, that was it?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So
No.
do you want that as like part of the full added totality of the motion?
Curriculum.
To add, like, look at creating timeline or whatever for the curriculum review?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So just
making sure.
into the curriculum policy.
Yeah.
So there
Yeah,
is-
so we have, go ahead.
So there is no curriculum adoption cycle currently.
Yeah.
So tomorrow.
the right word, thank you.
Actually, we are meeting administratively. We
Oh,
already have the
okay.
meeting scheduled
Okay.
to develop that curriculum adoption cycle.
Wonderful.
Typically, it's every 6 years. You review a curriculum from literacy to math to Spanish to SEL to everything across the board. And you develop that curriculum adoption where there's a full review of each curriculum.
Does it
before
stagger?
adoption.
Does it stagger,
Yeah.
like,
Yep.
okay, okay.
So then we can work through the budget and we can plan for, and yeah, there may be some years where you say, you know, we may have to jump, literacy always seems to be a really expensive curriculum to purchase, so we may have to wait for literacy, we have to do that for 7 years, you know,
Okay.
and do something else to help build that out. But, you know, we're actually doing that tomorrow as an admin team to start working through that and develop that cycle. So
Great.
You're right, that is typical of the district to have that. So.
Thank you.
Mrs. Cooper?
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to say
Can
that
you-
we did have one, in.
Well, I think she has to
She was
ask.
trying to
That's a
ask you a
good
question.
Yeah, so first of all, I want to ask, do you know when this curriculum was first used? What year?
I believe it was around 2008.
Okay, that's what
I
I
mean,
think.
it was quite a
Yeah.
long time ago, yes, that we used the second step, yeah.
Okay, and then what were,
Yeah, sorry, didn't mean to, we did have a process in place, that, we need to just get back to with the other, every 6 years, that we did do, and that just kind of, went by the wayside as needs and different things change. I too agree we need to put that back in place, and we're gonna talk about it. So we'll bring that to the board, and you can see, we've been doing that with the technology purchases and putting that all together.
Okay,
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So, yeah, I think that's part of it. I'm guessing second step program wasn't the same in 2018 as, you know, what we're seeing today. So I want to go back and address, again, to my peers, I recommending a motion to keep the second step, program for the remainder of this school year so we don't impact. However, direct the administration to come back with alternatives to the board before the next school year that can replace the second step program.
And we have PBIS.
Which, as I understand,
PBIS,
Right, to me, that's like a philosophy, not a.
yeah, as I understand that teaches teachers how to interact with kids, but PBIS doesn't necessarily produce the curriculum required by Iowa state law
Yeah,
through my
no, that's-
research. So yes. So they do have to have something different. Like I said, there are other alternatives out there. Again, same for Harmony being one, but I think the administration, I'd like for them to go back, research that because we want that recommendation, from them. But before the next school year, bring an alternative. So that's my recommendation to my peers for a motion.
So I would make a motion to accept the approval of the reconsideration committee recommendation, but adding an amendment or a modification that next year, by the end of next year, we would,
Beginning of next.
beginning of next year, excuse me. Sorry, I'm trying to, beginning of next year, we would have a recommendation to replace, review, and look at with the new curriculum for social emotional learning.
We have a motion on the table. Is there a second?
I will second.
Been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Does that make sense, April?
Yep.
Okay.
So, all right, next we have board policy approvals. So if you guys remember, these are the policies we've done 3 times over, and it's really about the truancy, the new law that got put in place. There's not much we can do about this, and I know the school's gonna work with it and actually encourage people, if you have concerns, contact your legislator about it. But this is the final reading, and it does require a motion and a second and a vote this time. So, are there any questions on the truancy policy amendments?
Lots of questions.
Any that we can
But they're not
actually
gonna
change.
matter now.
All
I'm
right.
not a politician.
All right, seeing no discussion, I'll entertain a motion.
I motion to approve it.
It's been properly motioned to approve the new board policies. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Next, we have approval of the additional 4th grade classroom teacher. We talked about this, I think, a little bit at the last board meeting. That particular class was very big, and we desperately need one. And correct me if I'm wrong, this position could potentially move with that class, is what you were thinking as it went up
Yeah.
through the grades?
So, yeah, we would need that, we would continue to need that teacher, yeah.
Yeah.
For that particular class.
Yeah. Just a big class.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
they're at 72 students.
I've seen it.
Okay.
How many kids are in each class? Or like in each classroom? Like each teacher has how many kids?
So currently, there's 24, 25, and 23. And I don't know if you've been in those classrooms. They're not very big classrooms. And just the needs of those kids. Danielle did a nice job of putting all that data together in her report. Just the needs of those kids. Bringing those class sizes down to 18 would help tremendously. And we'd be able to just impact that student learning a lot better to be able to do that. So, and again, we would need that teacher, continue to need that teacher. And hopefully we get on, if it's approved, then we can advertise and get on those December graduates quickly, so.
I have no concern.
And the space, like, is the room gonna be where?
Yeah, so we
I know you're gonna get creative, probably.
We only have one room without disrupting classes, and it's what we refer to as the nest, which is, I don't have a map in front of me, but it's Jamie Lee's room from last year, if that helps you. It's the one all the way, it's in the back of the middle school hallway, closest to the playground on the inside wall. And so, obviously not ideal, but willing to see what we can do to get them closer or be flexible or bribe some other teacher to move further away or something. I'm not quite sure yet, but.
So they'd be in the middle school, of all the fourth
Right,
grade?
the only classroom I have that we can maneuver without moving a staff member or a teacher, a homeroom teacher, is that room there, and I don't know what
Jess,
number it is, but.
I think that classroom is where me and Keegan would have had English.
It would be
when they
hard
were
to
in middle
move
school.
a class
Yeah.
That one all the way.
year, so
Right.
may have to do
That makes sense.
with what we have this year.
Yeah.
and
And
adjust
then
it, so.
adjust the floor plan next year.
Yeah. I figured you had it all worked out. I just was
Yeah.
curious.
Well, I
How's
was kind of waiting to see what you guys did before I started tearing down stuff and.
Well,
Didn't
they
mean to
have
put you on the
separate-
spot.
Separate passing times, I would imagine, right?
Right, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, fourth grade has
Oh,
very specific.
yeah.
Yeah,
classes.
so they're not interacting.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. I'm still not sure I'm not gonna bribe maybe a 5-6 teacher yet, but we'll see. I've been finding the right bribery first. Make it there.
Is there any further discussion? All right, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the additional fourth grade classroom teacher.
I will make a motion to approve the fourth grade classroom teacher.
The motion, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Next, we have approval of the HVAC substantial completion. And it's a substantial completion certificate that we need to approve.
Yeah, it's, the HVAC that was done this summer, we just got the substantial completion document, just need approval from the board to get it signed and get it wrapped up.
Is there any discussion?
No.
All right, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the HVAC substantial completion.
It's been motion to
Certificate.
approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Next, we have the ServPro services for the fire smoke restoration. The district rendered services for smoke fire restoration to quickly clean the Foods classroom that had the grease fire on 9/13/24. Looks like it's a $7,000 904 payment. There are discussions.
And one,
I
it's
didn't
coming to you
realize-
because it's over 5,000.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was that much
Yeah.
money. I thought it was just a little buff.
We did file an insurance claim, so there is a $5,000 deductible. We did receive a check for $6,798,
We
which
filed.
includes the tiles. All the tiles in that classroom had to be replaced.
Oh.
The cleaning, the labor of getting all of that done from our own staff also.
Okay.
So are we actually approving 22, or what would it be, the difference?
Nope, you're approving the bill of $7,900.
And how much is insurance covering?
Insurance, we received a check that was minus the $5,000 deductible
Yeah.
of $6,798. So it almost covered that actual cost, but there were tiles, labor, other things too.
Is it done? Is it, okay.
Go back in there.
They are in there cooking.
Cooking.
Okay.
Without grease.
Good. All right. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion for the ServPro services fire smoke restoration.
I'll make a motion to approve the services for fire smoke restoration for ServPro.
It's been properly moved. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Next, we have the Daktronics scoreboard, baseball, and softball. Scoreboards that were part of the construction project. $100,000 was allocated to this as an estimate. We're hopeful that the actual amount, once all scoreboards purchased, it will be closer to $50,000.
Yeah, so.
And we're approving the agreement for $23,435?
Yep, so this is just the scoreboards, right, Brayton, for baseball, softball, just the actual,
And this 23,000 is
Boards,
basically the deposit.
No,
To get them going?
that's the boards.
That's just the boards, and then the rest of the money you're talking is all the electronic stuff.
To get to the 50 that's up there, yes.
Yeah.
So that
Okay.
kind of covers the full.
Okay.
The idea was to come in under the allotted budget, to know that we knew we wanted to do some signage, and anything we save, we might be using that.
And on the
So that'll
signage,
come-
you're gonna
that'll
use that money like towards that, to keep that 50 number down, like from Whitey and Mid-Iowa and stuff like that. Okay,
Okay.
that's all I was asking.
Is it like a video? Can I ask you a question, Bree? Is it a video kind of? Okay.
We vetted that with the coaches. You just don't see that a whole lot of baseball and softball, especially with them, A, going at different times, and B, needing a special operator just for that computer. I don't know, you saw me in the Crooks a lot
Trying to get
last
Yeah.
summer.
Yeah.
It's hard to get those additional people.
Sure.
So we just didn't think the up costs would be, it would have been closer to 150 per stadium.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I was just curious.
See outside too.
We were trying to, we went, they're pretty basic, kind of like what we have, but just look a lot nicer and work.
Awesome.
It's good.
I like it.
Thank you.
Functionality. Functionality.
All right. Further discussion? Seeing none, I'll entertain a
I
motion.
motion to approve it.
You're properly
Win.
motioned to approve the Daktronics order agreement for the baseball softball field. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Properly motioned and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Next, we have the Air Core Ball Field Technology. This is the technology needed for the new ball fields. As I understand, as Ms. Wells, it's basically a server room out there, so we can get internet and all that stuff out there. So that's the gist of what that is. If anybody has any questions, Ms. Wells right there, she can answer. All right, is there any further discussion? All right, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll motion to approve the technology.
Okay, it's been properly motioned to approve the Airco Ball Field Technology quote. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Next, we have approval of the change order for the high school science lab project. Approved change orders for science lab renovations totaling $8,355.20. I read through this stuff. I don't understand what's going on, but
Yeah,
I
I
guess
don't.
I'm gonna trust that during construction, they found out they needed to install a sink that
Yeah.
nobody knew, and we just gotta do it.
It wasn't in the drawings.
Okay,
Wasn't it, yeah, $1,300 for a fumes lead sink.
okay.
Kinda.
Okay.
A little more than that.
Simplifying it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just over $7,000 for, there's some credit in there too, and then there's some exterior wall infill and a drywall chase, and everything totaled.
Okay.
What that
So it's
was.
just safety or whatever required it, just somebody forgot to put it in the drawing. Okay. Is there any discussion?
I already asked DCI questions I had.
Okay. Well, saying none, entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the change order for the science lab.
Been properly motioned to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Next, we have the baseball, softball change order approvals for the baseball, softball complex totaling $19,525.50. Again, same thing. This seems like somebody broke something and we had to pay to fix it, but we're really getting reimbursed. Or maybe that was a different one I read. I can't remember.
You were reading the lighting
Okay.
compared to,
Yeah.
because there'll be a
So
deduct
much
change
to
order on the
read on
lighting
this
guys,
one.
because they
Okay.
destroyed the site work guys' stuff.
Okay.
And then there's a couple of things like the hydrant and adding
Oh,
truncated
yeah,
domes
that's
and
what
stuff
all
like
this
that,
was.
that got us to a
Also,
positive change order.
I do want to point out on the change order, who's this one from? I forget. The change order 002. So softball infield irrigation. So that is to add irrigation on the infield of the softball that wasn't on the drawings. And so yep, that's what we did too. So Brayton and I caught that. I actually think Brayton caught it first. And as we discussed it as a group, we felt that why wouldn't you put an irrigation on the infield of the softball? So that is in there for $6,200 as well. So that is an add from us.
Okay.
So I just want to be clear that that was something that we,
I mean, these are
Or
such
asking.
little amounts, but it's not, really worth going and arm wrestling about. But who's the guy that keeps missing stuff on drawings? Because we had that with the family restroom, we had that twice here. I mean, I'm betting we're paying that person to draw some stuff.
I
so-
want you to keep that energy when we go to approve something else later.
Okay, all right.
Because there's
So-
someone asking for $30,000 to draw something, and I want to discuss that.
so then also on the same change order, there's $726 for an additional flagpole, which is impacted by our next action item. I believe it's the next one. So we're asking, the original drawings had one flagpole for the complex, but our baseball, softball stagger starts. Softball starts half hour before, right, baseball? And so we do 2 different national anthems, right? So we're proposing having 2 flagpoles, just like they do at our current complex. So that would be a $726 add. We would purchase the flagpole, they would install the flagpole. It's a $720.
No issues with more flags.
So what is this for 8,400 or 8,800?
On which one?
Number 12.
It says flagpoles.
In the next one.
That's the
We're
next,
purchasing the
yet.
flagpoles that
that's
are
the next
installed.
action item.
Where's
We're
the-
purchasing.
Okay, where's the footing for the flagpole?
That's what the $726.
It's for $726, they're gonna do the footing for
And
the
install
flagpole
it.
and install it.
Yeah. And it's already in there for the one flagpole. That's just adding the second flagpole.
Where is it located for the first one? Where is it located
It's
right
already
now?
in the project.
But-
It's
oh,
already factored.
where, like, is
It's
it?
already
In between the 2 fields.
In between the 2 fields, yes.
So they could essentially use the same line.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where
Yeah.
And we
putting the
not
other one?
spend $10,000.
Wait, $10,000 for a flagpole?
Yes,
What?
sir.
Well, that's 2 flagpoles.
8,800 plus
Brayden, can I
700.
ask you a question?
Yeah.
Where did
Okay, so the difference is like, keep in mind, the difference is about 4,500, okay? We're already spending, it was already owner purchase on one of them, that was always in the bid, so we're asking for a second. I will tell you, I spent a month going around and talking to community members, hands down, meaning old to young, said exactly what Mr. Gibson just said, which was what?
I don't care how
5,000
many.
for an extra flag. Here's why, though, because as we start looking, if you walk out there, the original plan had them dead center on the north, which means neither away team, you would literally have to turn around and walk into the field to see it, because your dugout's behind you, okay? It's behind them. Neither home team could see it unless they turned. It wasn't centrally located like any other field I've ever been on. So that's when the conversation came up to, man, the way this is laying out, it doesn't look good. When you do the national anthem, if you have to find the flag, that's a bad thing to me. So-
Yeah.
So we got the pricing, I then went out, I talked to a lot of people, and every single one hands down was, you'll never get an argument to spend money on flags here in this district. And I said, because we want them closer to dead center, or off dead center, but so that they're right there for each park. You don't have to agree with, you don't have to approve it. I'm just telling you, no one that I found would say that that's.
So are we moving the
I'm just saying
location of
5 grand's
one?
5
What's
grand.
that?
Are we moving the location of
Yes, there will
one?
not be one in the center. So softballs will be one essentially 100 feet to the right of the scoreboard in left center. And then baseballs will be 100 feet from the scoreboard in right to center. So you can't put baseballs behind it. You can't put them in dead center because of the trajectory of the pitcher, so.
So what's the difference in pricing again? Because now I'm really confused.
$5,000 more.
So you're asking for 4,500 more to put in another flagpole?
Correct.
And the $700.
Plus the $700
So $500.
for it.
I mean, I think that's crazy for a flagpole, but,
And we have the contingency to be able to do that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh,
But if we use all of our contingency, we can't use that on other maintenance items we have at the school district.
It's still all part of the bond that needs to be spent.
It's got to be.
No, I asked that question. As long as we went with what the drawing was and everything else and all that, we could use what was left over for maintenance on the school.
well, we'll let you
Was the
guys
answer I got.
We'll let you guys sort that. 5,000 ain't gonna break the bank on that, in my opinion. Yeah, I think it's crazy, this $5,000 for a flagpole. Yes, I could probably do it for $500 myself, but it is what it is, so. Is there further discussion on approving the flagpole? I know it's not the
Are we
flagpole,
at-
but approving.
Did we approve the change?
haven't
order?
done
The change order,
If
sorry.
we approve
the footing,
All right.
like it doesn't make sense not to approve flagpole.
Exactly, so let's go back. We're on number 11 right
11,
now,
yes.
right?
We should have put those in a
Yes.
different order.
So
It wasn't a good order to do that.
Seeing no further discussion on number 11, the baseball, softball change order approvals, is there a motion?
I will make a motion to approve the baseball, softball change orders.
From properly moved, do I have a second?
I will second it.
Properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
All right, next we're on to the baseball, softball change. I'm sorry, we just did that. Next we're on to approval of the flagpoles for the baseball, softball complex. Good news is, we just had that discussion. Is there further discussion? Seeing there's no further discussion, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll motion to approve the flagpole.
It's been properly moved to approve the flagpole for the baseball, softball complex. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
All right. Next, we have ClassLink for site navigation. You want to give a brief? I think I learned about this when Mr. Bethel gave me the tour on the TVs and stuff like that. Yeah, so but I could be wrong. But essentially, it's a one-time setup fee of $2,495, and then we have an annual subscription of $3,713, depending on enrollment numbers. So it sounds like it's based off of how many students we have. I briefly looked at it. I don't know if you just want to give a quick gist of what it does.
Yeah, so we've spent some time kind of doing an audit of all of our online subscriptions and all of our online resources and stuff. And this will allow Heather and her team to kind of be able to better organize that and really track that stuff better.
I thought this was software for those touch
no,
and stuff.
nope,
Okay,
nope.
I was totally wrong.
This will allow Heather and her team to be able to track that and then allow teachers to be able to access those things easier and more flawlessly. We're still kind of in the middle of that audit and figuring out kind of what gets used well and what doesn't, and trying to making sure we're utilizing things the way it should be. But this navigation site, or this ClassLink for site navigation, will be able to track that and give you some data on what's there. So Heather, if you want to kind of add anything there too.
There's really two main components that I'm excited about with this. The first and foremost is it will allow me to create a Launchpad landing site for all of our software subscriptions for students and create that as their homepage. So it basically will create a one-click, I need to go to FastBridge, click. I need to go to my email, click. I need to go to MobiMax, click. It's all right there. The other thing that this will allow will be that not only is that one click, it will also log the students in with that one click. So they log into their computer and they get onto this Launchpad and everything is already seamlessly integrated from the software that they use to their login information. It creates a single sign-on for all of our digital platforms. And as Mr. Graham was saying, this will allow us to run some analytics to see how often students are actually using these sites in one place versus going to the 20 different sites that we're using.
So what is this replacing now?
Nothing.
We don't currently
All
have
of
it.
this is done manually right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Every student who has a login information on any software within the district is created manually.
It's going to create some efficiencies, right? So I mean, right now we may have a online site that only gets used, or online program that only gets used by 9 students, right? So from a district standpoint, is that valuable? Probably not, if only 9 students are using it. So this will be able to kind of track that and figure out where those are, and then we can make sure we're utilizing those things more effectively.
Can you give me examples of like some programs that students would use that, because they shouldn't be using, so it's, okay. Is it going to track any programs that they shouldn't be using, or does this help you with AI? Does this help you with security?
All of that is already, we already use a software for that, it's called GoGuardian.
Okay.
And so all of that is, we have
that's right.
policies in place that restrict student navigation
Mhm.
in those types of instances. This is going to allow, we have a lot of software that the teachers use in their classroom that is educational software. For example, BrainPop, MobiMax, Edgenuity.
Okay.
Those types of login software subscriptions that we have, that this will allow students to log in using a single sign-on.
Mhm.
It'll all be in one place. Mr. Graham was alluding to, if we only have 9 students or 9 teachers using a software that we're maybe paying for 20 people to use. This will either put it front and center, we can try to push teachers to use that, make sure that we're getting our bang for our buck for that, or if it really isn't being used, what other softwares can we find that maybe is more economical and eliminate one? So we're doing a full audit on all of our software subscriptions because we have a lot that the teachers have purchased, other teachers or other administrators have purchased, so we're just trying to shore all of those up and making sure that we have all of those in one place and everybody has access to them.
And with a lot of those programs where Heather's going in and is creating the student's profile in Google, so they're signing into that, and then they go to the site that they're supposed to be using, then they have to sign into that. Where now, it'll just be kind of a widget or whatever.
Yes.
Single sign-on.
Yeah, I have it. I know what single sign-on is. Yeah.
So that, a lot of that time and setting all those up will be eliminated too.
The nice thing with that automated sign up too is if we have students who are, if we will link it with our Infinite Campus, so as soon as a student is enrolled and approved for enrollment, like that, those accounts will automatically be created.
Oh.
So it talks to one place and creates 20 different login informations.
That's important.
There you go.
Yeah. Thank you for saying Infinite Campus, because that, yeah.
So it's not necessarily that it's replacing something, it's replacing Heather. No.
I think for me, this is, obviously is a no-brainer, but one of the things I'd like to ask is, kind of a follow-up on that usage reporting, right? Use this to figure out how to save money in other areas, how to consolidate, if there's, 2 teachers using 2 different programs are kind of the same thing, and they each have 5 licenses, combine down to 1, purchasing power, get a discount on the 10. So I just, that's one ask I'd like to have of that as a follow-up to some regular review with the board on, the data that you're seeing and opportunities for how you're, potentially using it to save money, so.
Yep.
Yeah, good.
Is there any further discussion on the ClassLink? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the ClassLink site navigation.
Been properly moved to approve the ClassLink for site navigation. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Next, we have approval of the treadmill purchase. Approval of purchase of 2 new treadmills from the Johnston Fitness and Wellness Center for $12,106. This money coming out of the money that we're getting from people buying gym memberships?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And currently, we've got around 8,000 in that account with an expected at least, I think it was about 5,000 more coming in with memberships as they become due.
And then we'll also use the money that we get from selling the other treadmills that you guys had approved.
Okay.
So,
That's for 2 treadmills.
yeah, so there's 2 quotes there. There's one for just over 9,000, and then the one for just over 12,000. Those aren't the same. They're not the same exact treadmills. The one for 12,000 is a little bit of a better treadmill, but it also comes with 2 preventive maintenance services per year, and the other one doesn't. So, which is important. So they would come. I think it says December and July. They would come in and do preventive maintenance on the treadmills, which is important to keep the treadmills looking good and working good. And that's at no cost, the preventive maintenance, whereas the cheaper treadmills do not include preventive maintenance at all. So the recommendation is to go with the more expensive treadmills, the $12,000, and then so we have that preventative maintenance that they come in and take care of the treadmills and make sure they're kept up. So.
How many years?
Oh yeah, this also includes bikes, treadmills, and ellipticals, and then I think a pulley machine maybe.
So they've been continuing to do work, so they fixed the other bike already and the pulley machine is getting fixed. They're actually giving us credits on that, so this number, we didn't want to wait. So this number will go down, but you'll be approving a higher amount, which is fine. So like there's a $396 credit we got today that will be taken off that 12-1 because they want our business, and right, we want to use them, but they're also making all these extra trips down here, and they're fixing multiple things and not charging us. So I think that's a good thing.
Where are we selling these old pieces of equipment at?
We can post them on a site called Gov Deals, and it's just like an auction, right? So you can put a,
I've seen chairs and everything else sold on it.
yeah, you know what it is.
Yep.
So they're not
How
worth a
many-
lot, but
How many years is this preventative maintenance for?
5.
Yeah, so it continues, so the only reason it would exit, the idea is that each year we'll probably add one piece, right? So we'll go slower after this year, maybe only one treadmill a year, but until we have everything kind of in a working order. And then the plan is set up that in 5 years, if we choose to, these first 2, they will actually take back and give us a very large credit for them if we choose to purchase them at a much cheaper discount than new ones in 5 years, and then it just keeps going. So you always have the preventative maintenance, and you always have new treadmills coming in, and in our case then, in 6 years, it'll be 1 treadmill, 7 years, 1. So then it's something that probably should have always been done, but nothing was done with one.
Thank you.
Is there further discussion on the approval of the treadmill purchase? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the treadmill purchase.
It's been properly
Purchases.
motion to approve the treadmill purchases. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Next, we have the approval of the professional services proposal for the second phase of the HVAC. Approved professional services from ISG to complete construction documents and post-design not to exceed $30,000. So this isn't approval of actually the spend on the actual air conditioners themselves, it's
The drawings.
the drawings. Are we gonna, we're gonna make sure we're gonna get the drawings good?
So they have to redo the drawings. So this is the cost for them to do that. Once they have that, then they can start that work. And then,
So they have to redo the drawings from the original.
yeah, that's what they reported to us.
And where, which,
What's it cover?
the
The rest-
gym,
Nope, this is just the instructional classrooms right here.
Okay.
This is just ISG.
Yeah, so,
Okay, so I have a question. So let's say that they draw it and they draw part of it wrong. I would like to see their contract before, like, I can't rightly approve this right now, just my opinion, of me, because I would like to see their contract, how their contract is written. Because we have paid for things in the last 3-4 months that other people miss and everything else, and us as a district keep paying and paying, and I see it all over the state. But I would like to maybe be proactive and we take a look at it and see if we can't get either a discount on it or an amendment to their the way their contract's written.
is this the same group that
They did
messed
the-
up on the drawings, the other drawings?
This is the middle school.
Yeah, they did the middle school air conditioning.
Yeah, oh, okay, so, no, I'm asking the drawings that. we
OPN did the ball fields,
Oh.
and they're actually a really good firm.
Oh.
It just, things happen.
Okay, all right. So what are you asking for? A contract,
I would just
amendment
like
to
to
their
review the
contract?
contract.
Oh, you want to
Like,
review
I
the
think we
contract?
should review their contract before we just, and see exactly what it says. My other question would be is, I thought the district paid for something like this to get drawn. Why aren't we just using a piece of something that should have been drawn here in 2018? Like $30,000 seems like a lot of money to amend a drawing that should have already been done. Because we were supposed to already get air conditioning in these areas, so like, I just wanna know, they want $30,000 to,
So, for example, the ICN classroom, is that what that's called?
Yeah, this one.
Um,
yeah.
That wasn't included in their drawings because we had told them that we were going to remodel that in a different project. So since that piece didn't get done,
So whatever they have,
and then like Jen Hoffman's office, I think your
Okay.
guys' offices, like those weren't included
Part of the original.
before.
Hmm.
So there's a,
okay, You actually answered part of my question already.
That's all I
So
remember.
actually what I would suggest then, and this is just me, our facilities committee needs to get together and we need to decide what direction we're going before we approve anything to draw anything else. And then we can have them get us drawings for something for the air conditioning.
Well, I think
So this-
this is not part of the
Yeah,
facility.
we just said the
Right.
ICN, and we could be remodeling the ICN room to be a classroom at this point, we don't know. That's what I was asking.
Yeah, but we asked for this, right? This is something we kept driving for.
To continue the
continue to get
classrooms, the
air conditioning in
kitchen,
place.
the
I'm not
gym.
opposed to what you're talking about,
But
make
part
sure
of
the
it should have already
contract.
been drawn.
I just don't want to wait an entire another month to get this going. That's my issue. Like, I'm fine with the contract, and I would suggest maybe, again, throwing this out on the table, we approve with a motion, you asking for something that you want as part of the approval or something, so allows them to go forward. Otherwise, we're not going to get back to this for another month, and we need to get planning for this air conditioning, so I could get it in place, so.
We do, but I think we have a little bit of time because we're in the fall going into the winter, so,
And this project's gonna be done in the summer.
It'll have to go to bid.
But it'll have to go to bid, so the sooner we can get it to them, the better.
So the
So
drawings
they
have to
can-
be made.
yeah, so they can draw it. But I think if we can approve it and we can make sure that the drawings, before any of the drawings are approved or sent out to bid, then we can sit down and walk through those. But I would hesitate to not approve them moving forward with getting this taken care of. And because I would be nervous not to have everything ready to go for next fall. I understand where you're coming from, I get it, and it's frustrating. I've been through enough construction projects to know stuff happens, but I think if we want air conditioning in our instructional spaces like the plan.
And I don't disagree, I would like to get that as soon as possible too, but I'm not willing to spend money that doesn't need to be spent. Or spend it recklessly before we figure out, like, some of this I thought, like, I really did think that, like, part of this should have been the drawings that were made like 2018 or 19.
I think some of
So
it is,
$30,000 to re-render a couple of things seems like a large amount of money.
Well, it's not gonna exceed $30,000.
I know what that means. I think we all know what that
It
means.
doesn't mean we're spending 30,000.
Okay.
does it include the kitchen or just
It does not
instructional?
include the kitchen,
Okay.
just the instructional spaces, yeah.
The instructional spaces that we already had a bond voted on and drawings should have been made for. That's my question, Melissa. That's what I'm trying to figure out. It's like I
Did
can
the
swear we
same-
already have drawings for this. We should.
I would think that we do somewhere. I don't know.
But
Um,
would the same place have done it? Or did they?
I don't
care.
Did they
Right,
use somebody else?
right.
Oh, you're
Somebody
saying-
with an engineering stamp
It
drew
was
it.
ISG that did phase 1 middle school and phase 2. Both went for bid a couple years ago, and we decided not to take the bid on phase 2, is what it sounded like.
Would this have been phase 2?
The high school is phase 2, yes.
Okay,
of
so
that.
there was drawings they bid off
Yes,
of.
Correct.
yes, but in those, there's the update. I don't,
So they're basically saying, they are confirming they have drawings, and they're saying, you're asking for us to authorize to approve to pay them not to exceed $30,000 to update the drawing to account for additional things.
Correct.
Can we lower that and say, not to exceed $15,000 to update the drawing or something? And then we can really push and be like, hey, you already have these, there should be a couple more scribbles. I don't know, I'm just trying to throw compromise out here
to
to move forward.
confirm the viability of the original 2021 plans and specifications.
Yeah.
So, but
Oh, that's what we're
They're-
approving, to confirm the viability of the original plans. It's $30,000.
I'm just reading.
It's
what was in that
15,000 for the construction documents, time and materials not to exceed 15,000. Post-design, time and materials not to exceed 15,000, which equals a total of 30,000. But what I really would like an answer on, and for our community would like an answer on, is I think that $15,000 or $15,000 to update drawings that we already have is quite a bit of money, especially if they are the ones that originally did them.
So if we do end up tabling it, what's the action items?
So,
we have two board members on the facilities committee here, and those two would have to engage. What questions do you want answered? And I guess is there a commitment between now and potentially a special board meeting to approve it within the next couple weeks?
Are we approving to spend that? Because it's just saying they're doing the site visit and they're gonna kind of reconvene. So I don't know, like, are we actually even having to spend that with the way
We're
it's-
approving up to $30,000.
Yeah, I'd say would it may not be that price, right, depending upon what they find.
Well, that's where he's saying that it will end up being that, so. So I guess trying to find, I recognize that, yes, you want to have some questions answered. So I don't necessarily want to wait an entire month. So would you be, you know, if we do agree to table it, would you be willing to work with Chad over the next week or so to get your questions answered? And then we have a special board meeting just to address this issue within the next couple of weeks?
I'm okay with that, yeah. We have to
See if
get
we
some of
can
these
find-
questions answered.
I think,
Yeah,
I think you have a valid point.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah.
see if we can
Yeah.
find like
Yeah.
old plans that may have been drawn years ago.
Or a
Drawn
couple
up.
years ago.
A couple years
And
ago,
then-
was what
and
I'm
then
being
2021,
But-
it's
right.
referenced 2021.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
But then, you know, maybe we do have some, I don't know if they ever did anything back in that first bond vote, you know, that you're talking about years ago. So if they did them in 2021 when they did the first bidding, you know, maybe find those original plans, if there were some from years ago, so they
Chad, I
could.
can come in Wednesday.
I think that's reasonable. Are you all right with that, Mr. Graham? Okay. So I guess what we all just had to talk about, trying to summarize it, potentially tabling it for now to give a week for Dan to get questions answered for all of us, because I definitely agree that that's valid, and I'd like to know the answer too. However, we don't want to wait an entire month. So I guess looking for a motion to say temporary table for a decision to be held in a special board meeting within the next 2 weeks. That would be the motion.
I would motion that we hold a special board meeting here.
Or table it- table
Table
the
it.
decision
and
for now.
and Table the decision for now, while we get a few more questions answered and more things clarified. And have a special board meeting to vote on it within the next 2 to 3 weeks, before the next official board meeting.
All right. It's been motioned to table the item to get further questions answered, and we'll meet up in the next 2 to 3 weeks in the special board meeting to make a decision once we get the answers to those questions. Do I have a second?
I would second that.
Been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Next, we have appoint a delegate for the ISB 2025 legislative platform. ISB encourages all board members to review the proposed platform that will guide their advocacy. And I'm not going to go through all of this, but they have a link there for everything. And the board needs to recommend a person to represent the I-35 Board of Education as the ISB delegate for the 2025 legislative platform, which will be happening at the ISB annual meetings. Any questions on that?
No.
I will entertain a motion for recommendation for the delegate.
I will make a motion to recommend Nathan Gibson as the board member to represent I-35 Board of Education as the IASB delegate for the 2025 legislative platform.
I second it.
It's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, opposed? All right. Next, we have
Are
the...
you planning to go?
I am going. yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
I'm going. Next, we have the Holland Bus Company repairs for bus number 9. Bus number 9 in the amount of $5,459. We had repaired bus number 9. So, is this the one that took you by surprise? Oh, no, we ordered a bus 2
Yeah.
years ago that showed up. That took you by surprise.
Yeah, this is a way lighter bill.
Yeah, so, okay, so, yeah. Does this have anything to do with the big towing bill I saw that we had on our regular general fund? Actually, it doesn't matter. So is there any discussion on it?
It's already been fixed, right?
Yeah.
I motion to approve.
I'll second the motion.
Been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Next upcoming date, which isn't on here, is we're gonna have a special board meeting in a couple weeks,
Could it be
but the one
virtual?
after that,
Yeah.
yes. Next one after that is special board meeting, or our regular board meeting, November 25th, and then ISB meetings are November 22nd.
Yep, and I'll be getting those registrations in.
I need to talk to Kurt, I will.
Okay.
This week.
Couple months out, but the December board meeting is scheduled for when we're on winter break.
Yeah, we're gonna move that ahead.
23rd, so
Yeah.
if we want to plan on moving that the Monday before, I think it's the 16th or something.
Yes.
What month?
The 16th of
December
December, to move it ahead.
I won't be here.
Okay, well, it's currently scheduled over winter break, so,
Yeah, I'll be here for that.
we could potentially look at being remote or,
In another country.
okay. I have done.
Came from Belgium, so.
Yeah,
He didn't come from Belgium. He
All
showed
right.
up on a
Computer
computer
did.
screen.
Yes. All right, thank you. I'll talk with you about that, Chad. We'll figure it out. After that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I motion to adjourn.
I second.
The motion is seconded. All those
Aye.
in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we are adjourned.